You know that feeling of a new year? That sense of a fresh start, a clean slate? It feels totally universal, right? Well, it turns out the way we actually mark that moment is wildly different all over the world. And those differences, they tell a really fascinating story about who we are and what we value.
So, for a lot of us, New Year's is pretty straightforward. You've got the countdown, the fireworks, the big party. It's all about celebrating time passing. And let's be real, it's mostly about just having a good time. But is that it? Is that all a new year can be?
Okay, but now let's put that idea next to something completely different, like the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah. The contrast is, wow, it's huge. On one hand, you have a party. On the other, you have this deep, profound soul-searching. One is a single night of fun. The other kicks off 10 full days of serious reflection. That's a massive difference.
And that massive difference, it really makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, beyond just flipping a page on the calendar, what is a new year actually for? What are we all trying to accomplish with these celebrations?
All right, let's dive into one of the biggest answers. It's this deep need to just clear the slate. And for a surprising number of cultures, the best way to get a clean slate is to, well, first, make a huge mess. You gotta symbolically destroy the old year to make room for the new one. Anthropologists have a great term for this kind of thing, a rite of passage. It's basically any ceremony that marks a big change for a person, a whole community, or even the entire cosmos. And you know what? The turn of the year is probably the most universal rite of passage we've got.
Okay, check this out. In the Andes, they have this ritual called Año Viejo, which means old year. And it's the perfect example of renewal through chaos. So communities get together and build these big dummies, these effigies of the old year. And they often make them look like, say, an unpopular politician. They read out a hilarious, satirical last will and testament, making fun of local figures. And then, at the stroke of midnight, whoosh, they burn the whole thing to the ground.
Oh, but it gets even wilder. The most incredible part of this whole thing is the widows. These are young men who dress up in really over-the-top women's clothing, and they go around stopping traffic, begging for money for the funeral. For just one night, all the normal social rules are completely flipped upside down. It creates this temporary, chaotic world that's seen as absolutely essential before order can be restored for the new year. You know, the famous historian of religion, Mircea Eliade, he really nailed it. He said that this is a universal pattern. You have creation, then existence, and then you have to have a return to the chaos. Basically, the old world has to completely dissolve before a new one can be born. So this isn't just some wild party, it's literally a cosmic reset button.
And once you see this pattern, you start seeing it everywhere. Think about it. People jumping over bonfires for Nowruz, the Persian New Year, to purify themselves, or the massive countrywide water fights in Thailand for Songkran, literally washing away the bad luck of the old year. Even the ancient Babylonians had rituals to expel all the evil from the city. The methods are different, for sure, but the goal is always the same: purge, purify, and renew.
Okay, so that's the loud, fiery, chaotic side of renewal. But that's not the only way, right? For a lot of cultures, the journey into a new year is the exact opposite. It's quiet, it's internal, it's about deep reflection and figuring out your spiritual path for the year to come.
And Rosh Hashanah is probably the best example of this. We're not talking about a one-night party here. This is the beginning of the 10 days of awe. The whole focus just completely shifts, right? It goes from an outward celebration to an inward journey of thinking about your actions and making things right.
And this whole idea is so beautifully captured in the food they eat. Dipping an apple in honey, that's not just for a sweet taste, it's a literal prayer for a sweet year ahead. Or eating a pomegranate, the hope is that your good deeds in the new year will be as plentiful as all those tiny seeds. Every single bite is intentional. And we see this kind of theme pop up in other places too, like with the Hindu festival of Diwali. It's called the Festival of Lights because it's all about celebrating the victory of light over darkness, good over evil. Now, it's not technically the calendar New Year, but it serves that exact same purpose. It's a time for a fresh start, for cleansing your soul, and hoping for a good year. Same thing with the Islamic New Year, also known as Hijri. Again, you're not typically going to see huge public parties. It's a time for quiet reflection, for prayer, for spending time with your family. The whole point is to look back at the past year, at your actions, and to really commit to spiritual growth for the year ahead. So we've got renewal through chaos and renewal through quiet contemplation. But there's a third super important piece to this puzzle: connection. So many of these celebrations are really about strengthening our bonds with our community, with the natural world, and even with the rhythms of the planet itself.
And there is probably no better example of this than Nowruz, the Persian New Year. I mean, this festival is 3,000 years old. And it's not tied to some random date on the calendar. Nope, it's tied to an actual celestial event, the spring equinox. The timing itself is a celebration of nature coming back to life.
The absolute centerpiece of Nowruz is something called the Haft-Sin table. It's this beautiful display of 7 symbolic items, and each one stands for a hope for the new year. You have a sabzet, which are sprouts for rebirth, sib, apples for health, sanjed, a type of olive for love. It's like a physical roadmap of all your hopes for the future, built right from things the earth gives us.
And the celebration is a whole 13-day marathon of connection. It starts off close, with immediate family. Then it expands outward as people go visit their elders and their friends. And it all leads up to the 13th day, called Sizdah Bedar, where basically everyone, entire communities, goes outside for huge picnics. They reconnect with nature, and they toss those sprouts from their table into a river or stream, returning them to the earth.
And this idea of tying your new year to nature's cycles, it's absolutely global. The Maori New Year, Matariki, is timed to the moment a specific star cluster appears in the sky. And in Ethiopia, their New Year, Enkitatаш, is this joyful celebration marking the end of the rainy season and the beautiful return of the sun.
So, when you kind of zoom out and look at the big picture, you see something amazing. Even with all this incredible diversity, all these different traditions, a deeply shared human story starts to emerge from all of these New Year celebrations.
It seems like they're all trying to meet 3 basic human needs. First, we all need renewal, right? A way to wipe the slate clean, even if it takes a little chaos to do it. Second, we need reflection, that chance to look inward and hope we can be a little bit better. And third, we need connection to our people and to the planet that keeps us all going. So, in the end, it doesn't really matter if you're burning an effigy in the Andes, dipping an apple in honey, or looking up at the sky for a specific star cluster. We're all basically doing the same thing. We're marking time, we're trying to make sense of the past, and we're expressing this powerful collective hope for a better future. And that brings it all right back home to our own traditions. Because these celebrations, they're like a mirror. They reflect what a culture truly values deep down. So it's a great question to ask yourself, what story does your new year tell about you?